Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the AEL University League semi-finals. My name is the Russian Cthulhu. I am today joined by the wonderful Red. How you doing, man?
Doing really good, man. I'm keen for tonight's matches, and hopefully it won't be a bit of a cluster buster. Hopefully, we'll get some good matches out tonight.
Yeah, look, we have quite actually a fair few players in the lobby already, and quite a few uh, well, very well-known names in the lobby as well. So quite keen to see all of those. As a matter of fact, let's actually introduce our teams. It is going to be QUT battling it out against uQuWu, the meme team that is. And look, so far both of the teams were able to show us some quite phenomenal plays, some phenomenal results. QUT is going to be the first one that we are going to be seeing on the stream. It's Angmo, Ghoul, Llama, Major, and Zane. They will be making appearance here. Actually, quite keen to see, and I believe actually Ghoul for tonight will be actually replaced by Shifi, but regardless of that, honestly, yeah, a solid roster, quite a few known names in the community. Any kind of thoughts on this roster, Red?
It looks pretty well rounded altogether. I'm keen to see some more Angmo action. Always a fan, no matter what league or ladder he's playing in. Always manages to pop off, and he's got a little place in my heart. You know what I mean?
Of course, yes, of course. Now, their contenders, like we mentioned before, it is going to be the uQuWu. The roster that we've seen pop up a few times on the stream as well, the meme team, that is Arnie, PB2, Sogs, Webrar, and Woodsy. All of these players were able to actually show us on a previous broadcast some really solid plays, although they did struggle a little bit during their match against Monash Platinum, which did still result in their win, but alas, it was only achieved in the overtime on the third map. So definitely a few question marks there raised in general about their performances, but so can be theoretically said about the opponents. But look, honestly, I reckon this is just in general still going to be a very curious matchup, just for the sheer fact that, well, even just the battle between, say, Sogs and Arnie and Angmo and Shifi, players who are not strangers to high-level competitive play.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just we could be seeing quite a close match, as you said before, and I'm more than happy for it to go into. Well, I don't want every match to go into overtime, but I'm more than happy to watch these games going into a couple of them at least. Hopefully, we don't get a simple 2-game win and potentially see that third game.
Yeah, look, we'll have to see. For now, let us actually have a peek at the head-to-head. That is going to be Angmo versus Sogs, the two big representatives of their universities. Honestly, looking at their overall kind of attack slash defense op picks, relatively similar kind of, I suppose, role, although with Sogs leaning into a little bit more of a Valkyrie pick, definitely brings in slightly more, I suppose, information game for the team.
Yeah, it's a little bit of an interesting take because it's just like you can still frag to a degree on Valkyrie because obviously you're going to potentially try to utilize those Valkyrie cams a little bit more for yourself. But at the same time, it's just like, whereas Angmo is pretty much just kind of the go in and get shit done.
Yeah, you could say that. Definitely, look, Sledge and Jaeger, definitely both ops are very able in the fragging department. Plus, Sledge, kind of, you put Sledge against Ash, kind of somewhat similar role here. But with that said, actually, we do have quite a fair bit of stats gathered up thanks to Liquipedia as well throughout the whole semester so far. Now, well, not really surprising. Thatcher being on borderline 93% ban rate, 14 times the poor SAS operator has been banned out. Same goes for Mira, 93.3% ban. Do you reckon it is kind of, I suppose, not a valid ban, but do you reckon in the current meta it is still a solid decision to ban those two operators, or do you reckon there's room for way more expansion nowadays?
I think it comes down to a lot of whether or not the teams are able to make up their own strategies on the fly and whether or not they can compensate or have played in any other matches where they haven't been banned. So
Right.
it's just like, if you leave it up, for example, and the team does have a strat for it, do you already have something to counter it, or have you just made all your strategies just around the fact that it's got a 93% ban ratio, so there's no point really like digging it out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
That's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah, but outside of that, they're very cookie cutter. At the end of the day, these are your standard sort of like ranked bans that you'd be seeing in all your normal ranked games. And I mean, I'd like to see the Jaeger and Wame a little higher on the ban ratios, but you can't win everything when obviously it's like you're seeing a lot more Valkyrie and Cade coming out. So.
Yeah. Yeah, Kayat is, funnily enough, actually the next one on the list for the bans, which somewhat makes sense, although definitely seen quite a lack of his presence, even when he's not really banned. But let's actually shift our kind of side over to the maps and, well, rather the picks and bans and general statistics, which were actually quite interesting to say at the very least, with the fact that, well, we've never seen really yet a consulate, I believe. And for tonight, it is going to be a cafe, followed by clubhouse, followed by villa. Funnily enough, I nearly actually predicted all that without even knowing what were the actual map bans.
I did pretty well outside of missing Oregon. This would have been a very simple game setup, but I'm happy to see a little bit more cafe sprinkled on top of our match pool. Whereabouts are you seeing this going?
I'll say that I think this is going to be a 3-map matchup between these two teams. Looking back at some of the notes I had for uQuWu against Monash as well, their villa for uQuWu was very shaky. It was an 8-7 against Monash. For the Oregon, it was all solid. Clubhouse was definitely a bit of a washout against the uQ. So I'm thinking first map maybe to go to uQ. Second map, definitely QUT could easily take that away from uQ. And Villa, possibly in overtime.
If it does come down to that, that'll be a very butt-clenching situation if it's overtime on your third map. So, we'll shift over though.
Yes, the wonderful predictions. Actually, we copped a little bit of a roast as well from the production on some of the choices here. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge on the very first matchup.
Hey, I did pretty well. What do you say?
Yeah. No, I'm also, I meant for the rest of us. Yeah, you managed. You were the only one who nailed that prediction. For tonight, though, we actually both of us are split on that decision. Would you be able to explain your decision going in favor of QUT for tonight?
At the end of the day, as I said, I believe that Angmo was going to carry the team quite hard. Not quite hard, but just enough. Also, this is going to sound a bit silly, but I do like the Tiger logo.
Oh yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, look, Tiger logo definitely is quite neato. For me, the reason I don't know, I've witnessed a little bit more of the uQ, the meme team, and I liked so far their just overall performance and the way how their chemistry went. Plus, I mean, not to full on trash talk here on the poor Angmo. The man is an absolute beast, and like in any other scenario, he would probably even bulldozer me. But the recent Fury's performances in OCL,
it's been very shaky.
Yeah, shaky is probably one of the ways to really call it. But yeah, look, I know for a fact this is going to be a very close game regardless of the outcome. Let's just get into it. It is going to be cafe for the first map. uQ meme team is going to be the one starting on attack, and the ban preference is actually going to QUT.
Yeah, interesting that they took the attack first, seeing as from statistics of the previous matches, Cafe's been leading into a more like defensive win ratio. I mean, we've only seen it once, but I mean, 60% win ratio on defense, and you take attack first. It's just like,
yeah. It's, I don't know. Cafe is one of those very odd maps still to me, seeing as the meta on it shifts occasionally with just the I suppose, the mental game behind it and how you defend it. We've seen a whole lot of teams go for very kind of off-site roams here and there, and it's definitely been a very interesting one to witness. But so far, I mean, we already breezed past the whole ban phase. Thatcher, Jackal, Kite, and Valkyrie pretty much following the trend of mostly most banned operators. But funnily enough, Miro was actually able to slip past the whole ban phase, which is probably the most amusing thing to me personally.
Yeah, that really thought that it would be snatched up pretty quickly, depending on that percentage. But as you said, Thatcher is pretty much like a guaranteed. Nearly every single game, Thatcher is going to get banned, only because it's just like, yes, there are other ways to get around it, but it's just the easiest way. In comparison to Mirror is just dependent on where they put the placements and things. So I can understand where they would be coming from in that retrospect.
Yeah, Mira, especially on Cafe, she not as, I would personally say, useful on majority of the sites, and obviously you can make her work, but there's still, yeah, definitely a much better variety of operators that you can go for a pick to just flat out make it work. Already we are seeing a few very interesting picks. That is the Arnie's pick of Iana over Ashe, and then obviously the decision to bring in the Zero for the offense. On the side of the attack, or rather defense, nothing really stands out. Maybe the fact that Major Milk brought the Goyo on board, but even that operator has been seeing quite a fair bit of action, especially on the top floor.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, what have we got here? Llama on the mute, though. I was going to say, we see it all the time. The Goyo is a good pick, only because it's just like the more shields you can get down, the better off you are. Extra cover, and obviously bulletproof.
Plus, yeah, you get, I suppose, the whole fallback scenario in case somebody decides to go in for a straight-up push into the freezer from the bar, and you can just shoot the canisters and kind of delay that push or attack, and that kind of the comfort ground for the attackers for a brief amount of time. So yeah, no, I'll definitely, I'm with you on board for that one. Already the action phase is going to be kicking things off. We do see Woodsy actually bring the Zero on board and try to maybe kick things off from there. 4 cameras, Claymore, quite a versatile loadout, and already quite some damage to Shifi just through that window. So so far, so good, I suppose, for both of the teams. A bit of damage trade, but nothing else, really.
Yeah, slow but steady play style coming in, making sure to get those roof hatches. It's interesting that they've not bothered taking control of the lower floors. Everyone's on the roof as far as I can tell. But that drone intel is very good. A bit of a give up on the cigar shop and tree room, though it's going to be held from the little tiny bathroom. I think there's some shotgun holes in there to hold the long angle on the door frame. This is probably where, if you were going to, Big Dog taking the first kill on it. It's a headshot straight onto Angwo, not Angmo.
Yeah, well, Angmo went Angwo after getting doinked like that straight in the melon. And, well, for a decent reason, that was that very push that you were talking about, actually, for the cigar shop. Dropped down, completely cleared it out, and now flooding in.
Yeah, they're putting a lot of pressure into it, but I don't think they're, as I said, clearing out anything extra other than just running everybody down into the same section, which may work. But unfortunately, Stain comes with the whip around, able to pick up the double kill onto Webra and Sogs. And that was, I don't think they expected him to just push through, as they didn't have anyone covering the angle onto Tree Room.
Well, here's the answer, yeah, as well. This is what happens when they don't clear out anywhere outside the cigar shop, and Zane actually able to pick up a triple, not really able to find themselves that quad, but already the damage has been dealt, and it's all been falling apart. All down to Woodsy, and the man is still outside of the building. Definitely looking very, very shaky there, at least the first round, but we've seen somewhat similar patterns from uQuWu before, and they were having a few troubles initially setting up the pace, but overall should still have plenty of rounds to really go about and try to maybe turn around some things. I mean, 1v2 is still very much workable, but with this time limit, it is going to be an issue. It's a bit of a ring around a rosy at the moment with just a few pillars separating the life and death situation.
Yeah, 12 seconds remaining on the clock, and it's really all just down to whether or not Woodsy can hold it off. He's able to pick up the first one with the headshot onto Sheafy. Is he able to just get in there? No, he's not able to find it as the old cat and mouse transition plays through. QUT picking up the first round.
Yeah, I was about to actually, funnily enough, on that first round, I was about to start commending uQuWu that they cleared out their bare minimum and kind of were about to focus most of their utility on the actual push onto the side. But yeah, the fact that they had no control over the piano room is definitely introduced quite a hindrance to their performance, which at the end resulted in that kind of unfortunate demise.
Yeah, no, I know exactly where you're coming from. It seemed like they had the right agenda going into it, where everyone was pretty much safe on the roof. They threw all their drones in, they cleared out the stairwell, they cleared out probably a little bit around train, and then pretty much they just jumped into Cigar Shop and then just like freeballed it a little bit too more than necessary, and that was probably their downfall. Is just the assumption that everyone was playing a lot further back than they actually were, which incidentally allowed for Zane to come through and pick up a triple.
Yeah, Zane did a really, really good job overall, just making sure that he, well, just emphasizes on that simple mistake that really uQuWu did, and well, just kind of all that she wrote from there on. But yeah,
Yeah.
look, for now, Kitchen defense, we do see the introduction of a Rooney. It seems like Major Milk is the one that will be rotating for the most of it on these roles. But a Rooney pick for Kitchen, I kind of rate it, seeing as you could also deny some of the peaks from the, oh lordy, from the hatch. And well, Angmo tried to pull a bit of a cheeky spawn peek, but was denied.
Yeah, got to try and get any sort of little cheeky peekies where you can. It slows down the pace of the push at the start as well, because obviously gets the opposing team a little bit shaken in their booties. But they still managed to get into the roof fairly quickly at the end of the day. Not too much droning, as we do see Sog slowly making his way downstairs. He's got a teammate droning him through, which is very nice to see. It's not just a run and gun, balls to the wall. Oh, a little too close to comfort there with the spraying open the window, though. Obviously, you can see his teammate through, but just from his perspective, you're just like, eh.
Yeah, slightly bit of a clincher there, really. At least for now, though, Zane will be keeping his position pretty solid so far. I mean, coat check room is very solid to hold. Not a whole lot of bangable floor right above him, so should be easy to keep a hold of. For now, though, for the attack of uQuWu, they having a few very solid ideas to just open up the floor. The C4, unfortunately, doesn't land in favor of QUT, so we'll be seeing all 5 players on board and just more floor destruction, really, for the time being.
It's a bit surprising that they gave up control of the middle floor so quickly. They didn't really bother too much with a Roma outside of Anglo kind of making his way back down. But Sogs is able to pick up the first kill of this round onto Llama. Guess he won't be piggybacking anyone on his back this round. Ooh, Webra, though, taking Anglo down again before he's actually able to make a difference. Woodsy taking on 2 Major, and this has quickly become a 2 versus 5 scenario. Not 2 versus
5v1.
Oh, what's Jesus? Yeah, before I can get my words out, flawless attack coming out from the meme team.
Yeah, there we go. That was pretty much the classic kind of meme team's recovery here after the very shaky first round. They finally kind of started, I suppose, figuring out the pace that is between themselves and their opponent team. And look, it's definitely looking quite promising there for them, although with that said, QUT is still a very powerful team that shouldn't really be written off. Although if they do end up going into those kinds of I suppose 1v1 gunfight scenarios, it's definitely going to end up being a little bit more of a coin toss, to say at the very least, between the two teams.
Yeah, rather than taking any sort of advantage you can, it's very 50-50. Interestingly enough, QT uh, really didn't do it themselves any favors with the hard hold after really giving up on any sort of roam potential and just got picked off one by one, unfortunately. Though, as you said, bit of a coin toss, but how many times can you win a coin toss back to back?
Yeah, look, I mean, some people do get quite lucky in that regard, but I suppose we'll get to see how lucky do both teams get here. It definitely looks like they are planning to maybe even up the aggression here, seeing as Zane already brought on board the visual. We're seeing a whole lot more mobility operators, as well as that maybe something to reinforce the roam for Zane, say even the Melusi charges that could be brought on board here for, say, the top floor hold and then bail out, or maybe it would just be a solo kind of play with maybe Major playing around and having a little bit more, I suppose, ability for gunfights with the MP7.
I think just any sort of operator to slow down this push on taking control of the second floor so that they're able to play the vertical game is going to be an advantage for QT, like overall, as they just gave it up way too quickly, and especially with the meme team managing to like drone through majority of the areas pretty fast and realize that everyone's just sitting on the site. Trade for a 1-for-1 as Woodsy and oh no, did someone drop?
I believe actually we had an unfortunate drop.
DC, yeah.
With Llama just crashing, I believe, which is quite unfortunate. But regardless, that does put us into a 4v3. Very unfortunate for QUT. And, well, they still have some ROM going. It's Zane, actually, on top floor. So the moment they realize it's only two people on site, they could actually completely collapse on that. A pre-fire, oh, nearly connects, but it's Sogs, actually, to pick up that frag from the red stairs. So overall, that's the roam all done and dusted. It's down to Sheafy and Major to try to hold off that round, but the odds are definitely not looking too pretty here, gotta say. Oh, I say that though. PB2 does go down. So that's back to an 2v3. Ani is actually very severely tagged up, so could be an easy turnaround into a 2v2 though. And from there on, they could do quite some damage.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about this contester looking straight up at the ceiling. Yeah, you can get some, get an easy pick from someone sticking their little dome over the top of it, but not in a 2 versus 3 situation, though Dog is kind of lowish. So it only takes probably one more bullet to get him down, but 50 seconds still left on the clock, and they have a decent amount of ordnance that they can still use to get a couple more peak holes into this objective.
Exactly, and as well as that, 40 seconds, I mean, it's still very much workable time here to play around. So as long as they start making their way already towards their side and start poking around there, they should have all the setups really needed, with Sheafy currently being kind of isolated really on that play. I'm actually quite curious to see where's Major actually, because that will be the main deciding factor really here, is Major actually just around kitchen service. So technically both of those players are very much isolated, but right now with Major revealing his position, 10 seconds actually remaining, the push needs to happen right now.
5 seconds left. All they really have to do is just hunker down as Major picks up against Dog, but it's not going to be quite enough. The plan isn't... Oh, wait. No, they did pick it up. They got the double. In the last half a second, I thought that they ran out of time. It was that close down to the wire. Wow. Was not expecting that.
That was definitely a very, very close round, but it's good to see that at the end of the day, Sogs was able to manage to get that rotation, get things going, and actually kind of find the replacement for the dead Big Dog On, who was who did go down to the hands of Major Melk. I thought that he would have known at least about the approximate position of Bandit, but I suppose that wasn't the play. But regardless of that 2-1 scoreline, I mean, this is looking pretty good, pretty solid. Llama finally managed to make a return back to the lobby, so we shall be on our way relatively soon. Mute is going to be picked as the final op. Reading Room Fireplace will be the choice, and we are back to a little bit more of a, I suppose you could call it a little bit more of a passive lineup of the operators for the defense. What do you reckon? Red.
Yeah, a bit more of a defensive playstyle could be good here. It was a bit of a shame that they lost Llama in the last round, as they played effectively enough already being a man down that didn't actually contribute at the end of the day. Outside of putting his gadgets down, and that was it, all she wrote. But yeah, potentially they could have taken that one away if they had the extra man advantage. So coming into here, playing a bit more close to chest in that they did in the first round that they played kitchen. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see more roam play coming out from them at the moment.
Okay. See, because for me, I would prefer them to actually play a whole lot more like more passive. Because the way how they've been playing, yeah, sure, they are cranking out the aggression on the defense, but the way how they are doing that definitely results in them kind of being overpowered. Whereas, like, say, if they just hold their crossfires, sure, you can expand. Do actually, as a matter of fact, do please expand on some of the further site positions, but and hold the crossfires because it's essentially it's in the name. You defending. You just need to essentially wait for the attack to essentially run into your crossfires and sort it out because they have plentiful amount of really utility. They bring everything just right by textbook, and the main thing that was failing QUT is the fact that uQuWu meme team was able to just flat out just rush in with numbers. That's about it, really.
Yeah, in those last closing seconds, they just
Correct, yeah.
managed to pull it back. As you said, the remaining members of QUT, unfortunately, were just barely caught out of position from. I think they were trying to either run away to stall out the timer, or pretty much just reposition because obviously they had both been not droned, but the I think it was the bandit had already been found because he had shot Big Dog's clone. And so he was trying to cross the field. But less talk on last round, more talk on this round. There's a big pressure on to getting control of the top floor at the moment. Oh,
Oh
PB
no.
just
Oh no. Oh no, PB.
he grenaded himself twice. What are you doing, mate? That's not how that works. Grenades go through the windows, not into your hands. Silly boy, as we see Big Dog taking down Engmo again, but Llama's able to trade back onto him. Webb taking out Zane, and it's going to be going down to a 3 versus 3 quite quickly with 1 minute to spare on the clock. But
Yeah.
they still need to get a lot more pressure on this top floor so that they can play the vertical game.
Yeah, I mean, they have all the positionings and all the reinforcements, really, to do that. For the attack, they have plenty of the breach charges and plenty of already pre-made peak holes, so it's overall so far looking good. The C4s, though, are going to be a menace. Oh, that's unfortunate timing there for Shifi, as Woodsy will be able to completely decapitate him there. Down to Llama using the C4. No, the C4 won't be really connecting, nor it's going to be opening the floor, funnily enough. And so right now with 30 seconds, it definitely looks like it is going to be yet another collapse onto the side, but without a whole lot of workable information, this is going to be quite an issue, seeing as only Woodsy is really in position for that push. And right now, if Major Milk is able to contest it with him, this is going to be a complete disaster here for uQuWu.
All they have to do is hold the fort just a little longer, but it's all up to Major. And unfortunately, getting hit with the reach around, as you said, it's not happening for QUT at the moment. They're just getting overwhelmed and outperformed. Definitely as you said, Jaeger getting decapitated in the cupboard. That was unfortunate positioning, but potentially they might pick it up when they swap over at halftime.
Yeah, probably. I mean, look, so far it's been a very unfortunate few rounds of just timing for QUT. They had a very solid performance on the first round, thanks to Zane as well, to his efforts to just completely just thwart any kind of momentum that uQuWu had. And yeah, for the past 3 rounds, it's been just an absolute struggle for them to get the timings done, to get even the right gunfights. I mean, even the final kill cam, you've seen it. Major Milk trying to hold both angles into reading and into the main hallway on the second floor. The moment he turns away, that's where they start pushing. And he's already being swung upon by Woodsy with the ARX, and it's just yeah. My condolences to the man. It's Spain, but the S is silent.
Yeah, it seems to happen significantly more than it really should in Siege. The old, you hold a certain angle for like as maximum as you think you should be holding an angle, but at the same time, whoever's going to push goes, I'm going to sit here and wait. Yep. And then they go, I've waited long enough. The second they decide to swing around the corner is the second that you've also realized that you've been holding this angle too long. And it's just way too often for it to not be luck.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just at this point, it feels like it's just some extraterrestrial forces that are starting to just affect your games, and maybe you're living at this point in the Matrix, and just some stuff went wrong in the coding there, maybe. But alas, we'll stop with the foil hat theories. For now, though, well, it's looking very peculiar, to say the very least, with the way how Angmo and Co are planning to play it out. As right now, poor man just attempted to, well, try to maybe fire back some damage, but right now, actually, PB is trying to take point on the red stairs, and so far, nothing really has been achieved, apart from the fact that, Ani able to spot Angmo rotating, but that's only just the hologram.
Yeah, they're playing this very slow in comparison to how they did on the first one, where they kind of just ran in after they had taken control of the red stairs. So it's good to see that they've learned from their mistakes at the end of the day and realized, look, we can't just jump straight in. Let's take control of some further areas, make sure they don't have any roamers, make sure we can actually go into piano before we try to like push the side.
Exactly, yeah. And so now we're already seeing actually a few very interesting decisions on just making sure that the walls are getting breached. Weber actually nearly gets his head blown off by the peak of, I believe that was actually Zane. Yeah, Zane trying to get some sort of a gunfight going, but right now that is a long ass angle, and actually still able to connect that headshot, but only to get traded out by PB. So 1 for 1, pretty good. Minute remaining though, still gives quite a fair bit of room for the attack to just compose themselves and go in for the push.
Yeah, as you said, a minute or just a little bit less than a minute, but with the Hibana down, they may have a little bit more trouble getting in to the main site. Potentially getting a bit of pressure onto Fraser could help them in the long run. This is the fifth round back-to-back that we're seeing Angmo just not really, not really having his way with this one, getting picked off every single time, and that's probably not helping the team morale. As we see PB picking up a frag kill onto Llama, putting it down to 4 versus 2, and the defenders are in a bit of a pickle, but only 14 seconds left on the clock, but the diffuser is going down. PB taking out Major. It's all up to Sheafy, but he just doesn't peek the right angle.
Yeah, just too many angles really for Sheafy to contest with, and at the end of the day, it's PB to take. I believe that was a quad kill, actually, for the man. Nearly an ace, but yeah, look. 5 rounds in a row, and so far it's been an absolute roll really in favor of uQuWu. They were able to just completely pull a washout here against QUT, at least on the first half, and already with a 4-1 scoreline, possibly even contesting for a 5-1. It is going to be quite a rough run for QUT, especially when they go on the second half. Even if they do manage to run away with a second point for themselves, it's still 2 rounds deficit for themselves. Could be bit problematic, but it is what it is. Final round of the first half, and it is going to be Bar and Cocktail Lounge. Zane actually will be swapping over to the Wamai, the same operator that he was able to actually turn the whole pace of the round around on round number 1. That was a bit of a mouthful. And just, do you reckon it will be something of a similar playstyle here, or do you reckon the way how so far, just the whole, every setup that QUT been bringing has been completely crushed by uQuWu? Do you reckon they're going to try to change things around?
I think just, yeah, changing up the pace of the game might help them in the long run. I don't think it's the problem of the setup that they're doing. It's just they're losing out on literally every single gunfight that they're taking. Either they're not winning the trade, or they're getting traded straight off getting a kill. So it's like, yeah, you may get 1, but they technically get 2. So just getting better angles or getting better intel on the other team will help them in the long run. Yeah, they were able to pick up the Habana with that really cheeky angle. Or not a cheeky angle, but it was a cheeky pick with the SMG from White Hallway, which, don't get me wrong, that was intense. He managed to flick his head just from just a little bit of a pixel on the corner of the window. Bit too much by Webraw. But they could, they just, as I said, they just need to start winning more of their gunfights more, in my opinion, than their strategy.
So it's more so towards just going in and fragging and channeling the inner rank star.
Yeah, inner rank star, absolutely. That's what I was saying before, where it's just like they're playing very close knit, or they're playing the angles you're supposed to play, which isn't working for them. So as I said, I would like to see just a little bit more roaming and taking advantage of the other team potentially just not droning certain areas or taking things for granted.
I see. So reject modernity, return to monkey is going to be the name of the game. PB, funnily enough, decides to actually channel the monkey, and well, finds himself a frag onto Angmo, who's been woeing for probably the past like 5 rounds and just can't really find. Unfortunately, the frag the man just is definitely struggling out here. Zane already took actually quite a fair bit of damage for himself, and Ani is there to rub in even more salt into Mage's position. And so, yeah, look, right now it's starting to slowly collapse. It's definitely looking like 5-1 is upon us. And even now, like, Llama had the element of surprise, had the first shots, but just can't seem to be able to finish out that round. And yeah, look, finally, at the very least, Zane is there. Zane with a double. Possibly looking to thwart the plans, triple as a matter of fact, and just like that, all of that advantage completely lost.
This is the second time we've seen Zane pull it out, especially for this site where, unfortunately, the meme team really thought that it was clear in the White Hallway, but it's not quite enough. He's not able to pick up the rest of his team.
I thought for a second that we just seen, PB just walked by that pre-fire hole and just like that, just didn't disregarded any kind of human signs or human life, just bullied the poor man. Pew pew, exactly. And yeah, well, 5-1 is the end of the first half of map number 1. Looking like meme team kind of after their very worrying performance back against Monash Platinum seem to have at least patched up their play. I mean, once again, looking back at the notes, let me just quickly pull up that page. Their first, actually, pardon me, Cafe was barely even played, so at the very least I can say when they were able to acquire the momentum, they were able to actually pull it off really well. I mean, Oregon back then was a 7-3 against Platinum, but then Clubhouse was a 7-1 in favor of Platinum. Which is probably the most confusing part out of all of this, seeing as Clubhouse is a very, so far still, very known map in the community, in the competitive teams pool. It's a very well set up map, which probably the main reason why I was so surprised at these kinds of scorelines previously. So maybe if this map is kind of already at this point kind of a bit forfeited by QUT, possibly they might be able to make a return on Clubhouse, because this is going to be the kind of the last chance, I suppose.
Yeah, well, we have. Well, this is actually uQuWu. Oh, the meme team. Sorry, not uQuWu. Well, they are uQuWu, but this is their map choice. So I I would hope that they would do well on their map choice, which they inherently are, which is really good to see. Hopefully, they can bring it home without, losing too many or losing any more rounds than they did in that first one, as they've been playing extremely strong, as I said, outside of that first round, where I think they were a little too overconfident in their game, their map knowledge, and got a little bit away from them, doubling up on Zane being able to pick up that cheeky triple kill, doing it twice. If he was able to do that every round, well, this could be a completely different story.
Yeah, look, if in any shape or form, really, if QUT can slow down that round bleed and slow down that momentum that so far Meme Team was able to acquire, it could be absolutely huge, because Meme Team has been relying quite a fair bit on momentum, and the moment it is gone, they struggle really to regain it. So possibly that could be the play here. Funnily enough, actually, Sogs is the only one, I believe, who's roaming up on the second floor. The rest of the team is still on the ground floor and kind of playing around the site. Sogs to fall back onto the bottom landing of the white stairs. So still relatively close by to the side, has the capabilities for long-range engagements with that 1.5 times scope. So overall, I mean, the pacing at the very least is good. I mean, look at this. Not a single bit of damage has been dealt yet to either one of the parties, and we're already drained half a round with just the utility and just the sheer fact of presence.
And comparing times that we saw for the meme team, for example, pushing this exact same site, they had already taken majority of the floor, or majority of the floorboards out, and we're putting a lot of pressure onto the objective, like at this time already. So unfortunately, I don't like to say it, but QUT is taking a little bit more of a slower approach, but saying that, it is nice to see that Angwo has finally picked up his first kill of the match, outside of dying every single round first. So maybe we'll see a bit of a different scenario coming out. I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, look, already finding that first frag onto Woodsy, the man who's been able to push quite a fair few rounds in favor of uQuWu, is definitely looking very promising, although not all of it. 14 seconds remaining, actually. They need to start collapsing, and right now, actually, PB goes down. That's another one of the high fragging players, and the smoke grenades need to be on point, because 2v5, 5v1, it's definitely not looking too pretty, but with 0 seconds, and oh, the side is actually starting to go down. No, the spray down didn't really work.
Yeah, and Weber nearly was able to do, like, make the magic work. You could see him flicking that LMG around, taking everyone down with him. But unfortunately, the diffuser had already hit the floor, so it wasn't a case of whether or not he could get those picks or not. You can't time it out if the diffuser's down.
Yeah, there we go. At the very least, QUT is able to pick up a round before the match point hits for meme team. So at the very least, we are back on the radar in that regard. Bar and Cocktail Lounge will be the next step for uQ meme team's plan, I suppose, for the defensive half. Funnily enough, they started off with a kitchen. I suppose that would be more so of a kind of attempt to throw off the opponents, possibly. But apart from that, really, maybe just trying to get the harder side to defend out of the way. Maybe that would be the play here, or rather was. Yeah, I'll just correct myself on to whether it was or is the play. Look, formalities.
No, that's all good. I mean, you could see Kitchen as more of a hunker down. Yes, there is a huge vertical play, but at the same time, if the other team doesn't bring a thermite, it can be hard to get into the doors or even into the hatch if you close the hatch and tell your roamers tough luck, you're stuck outside. But they didn't really utilize it as much as they could, and they ended up losing a lot of those trades as the hard push came through, and they were able to get I don't actually think the Habana managed to get the wall open. I think they just, like, really just hard pushed in and got a lot of the picks from the vertical play. Outside of saying that, though, there's the mirror placement. It's happened. It's finally happened, Cthulhu.
Yeah, we finally do see the mirror first time, and funnily enough, it is on PB, the man who was able to actually spearhead quite a few pushes. But, oh, wait, what was happening? Why is Zane being tagged up? I'm assuming that Llama just accidentally may have hit him? No? That's not the play, okay. Yeah. Oddly enough, nobody was there, I would assume. Okay, right, it was a direct impact here from by the air jab. Yeah, right, that's unfortunate. But apart from that, really, I mean, I'm liking the push. I'm liking the fact that they are planning to apply the pressure from below as well as from the side once they drop down to the red stairs. So, yeah, look, this is looking pretty well organized. And you look at uQ's setup for the defense, it's definitely looking much more leaning towards how, say, OCN or Pro League teams would really set up for the defense on the top floor.
Yeah, they got a lot of pressure on the white stairs, which obviously means they have to give up pressure on the red stairs, but way less shields than we saw coming out from QUT, but on the other hand, they do have a mirror window, which is going to make it significantly easier for them to maintain control of freezer and bar area with the depending on how far you can get those angles across. They also, oh, yep, just in the little bathroom, got another mirror window peeking in to maximize
Okay.
pressure onto the two areas that you would probably use as a default plant, depending
Oh,
on whether or not you've got that bar section on the corner blown open. I don't think they do, but Angmo again. He's just not his day, getting cut down as the first one down for this round. 55 seconds left on the clock, and they're still trying to get control of Piano.
yeah, Major actually might just be able to catch the Wamai off board. Yeah, there it is. There's the flick. There's Woodsy out of the equation. So finally the take of the Piano is there, but so many peak points that they need to contest here, really. The attack of QUT might just be struggling if they don't get rid of the position of PB very quickly, because apart from that, it is going to be an issue. Major gets rid of Sog, so this is a good beginning. Some more peaks are coming out, and Zane actually able to pick up a kill into PB. That's the, I believe, the bathroom presence. And once again, back onto Weber and Big Door on. Matter of fact, all down to Weber, 1v3 in play.
9 seconds left on the clock. Weber's able to pick up that cheeky double kill, but he's not able to make it a third as Major just comes out for his team. Even pulling out the pistol for the swag players, utilizing those mirror windows against them. And I'm really disappointed that in the end, the mirror windows were actually more utilized by the attacking team than the defending team.
Yeah, that is definitely quite unfortunate for the defense. For the attack, though, look, so far they already have a much better performance on their attack rather than defense. And for uQuWu, this is looking very, very difficult to really close it out. They want to make sure that they are nailing their shots. We are just going to go for a quick rehost, as we still unfortunately have the spectator bug, but we shall still preserve all the settings, so should be all good for now. We are just gonna quickly talk and touch bases on what really so far has happened, because obviously first half definitely looked very good and very promising for the meme team, but something so far has not been really clicking for them whilst on defense.
Yeah, I think the aggressive playstyle that they had, or that they were really utilizing when they were on attack, is not transferring over as well onto defense, which is might be why they took the attack first, is so that they can get that numbers advantage and really utilize that potential demotivating factor of if you're in a game, for example, and you're 5-1, you're not really going to be having a good time, and it potentially might weigh on the other team's mind a lot. That's just like, do we just give up this map? Do we bother trying? Do we keep going? And then as soon as it swaps rounds at the halftime, you only have to win, what, 2 rounds at best? And it's just like, yeah. But it's just, yeah, their aggressive playstyles just not transferred over as best as it could. And the a bit more slow and methodical playstyle that we saw coming out from QUT is paying off a little bit more. They're able to slowly make their way into the objective and pretty much do that last 20-second push on those last 2 rounds that we saw.
Yeah, it's funny how QT was actually able to give a bit of a taste of their own medicine to uQ, with the fact how well they were able to still force that push for themselves on even the kitchen side, even the bar side. Unfortunate how for Weber it was still very much kind of 2 attempts for clutches in a row, and neither of those really ended up working out. Both of them were actually, funnily enough, 2v1s at the end, so he managed to kind of get the triple, get those mow downs, and kind of couldn't really muster up any more energy from there. Just yeah, a series of unfortunate events, really.
Yeah, if he was able to do that probably just a smidgen earlier, it would have been really, really good. But you can only do what you got at the end of the day. You got to play the cards that you're dealt. And I think we're going over to a break.
I believe so, yes. So we are just going to go on a quick break, get everything sorted out, and surpass all of our technical difficulties. So don't go too far away. Get yourself some cha time, get yourself some Indomie, get yourself all nice and warm and prepped, as we shall continue very shortly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the continuation of the semifinals between uQuWu meme team versus QUT. So far, 5-3 scoreline with the past 2 rounds in a row claimed by QUT, but meme team is still continuing to attempt to thrash here in those grips as they're trying to just find themselves even at least just one more point here so far to just progress themselves over to the match point whilst being on defense, but so far it's been definitely quite a difficult run.
Yeah, the swap over at halftime really hasn't done them any favors as the last 2 rounds really came down to whether or not WebRaw could 1 versus 5. And don't get me wrong, he did a very decent job of it. He was able to pick up 3 kills or 3 kills apiece per round, but it's not quite enough, and you don't want to be putting everything, or don't put all your eggs in one basket that potentially the Maestro may clutch out the round for you. But we're going back into the kitchen, and I'm not really sure how this could go, as on the last one, it went down to, it was like 5 versus 2 very, very quickly, and then the last 20 seconds, they, QUC were able to just push in and get control of the objective, and pretty much just won all their gunfights, rather than, well, they did get the diffuser down in the end, but that was only to stall out the rest of the round, so that, yet again, they could take down WebRaw.
Yeah, I think it's more so the main kind of judgment point here for the defense of uQuWu is the fact that they were able to actually just push it to the final seconds, and if not for the fact that they would have gone for the planned, it would have been their round for the win. So I think that's probably their main thinking point. It definitely looks like they are much more withdrawn on their play. Sogs from the get-go is actually playing on the ground floor, so for QUT, if they drone it out, they should be able to get a very good call about, hey, we're pretty much all good to push, although, well, I said that he was on ground floor. He's already back on the top floor trying to get some form of a traction going, but only damages himself really with that C4 in hopes of getting Angmo.
Even if he did damage himself with that, though, that's going to be putting or not a lot, but a bit more pressure onto QUT, as now they know they really need to put a lot more pressure onto finding out where this individual roamer is, seeing as he keeps just running up and down the stairs over and over again, and really kind of pinpoint him, because if they don't, well, in the past they've gone for that bit of a slow, methodical playstyle. And if they're going for the 20-second push towards the end, and you've got a variable like, you've got a variable like Sogs running around causing trouble, he could come around and do like a last-second flank, which, as you said before, they nearly had it outside of a couple seconds. So it could be the make or break.
Indeed, yeah, it could be the big deal here. So far, actually, quite a fair bit of presence. Even Weber trying to introduce some form of an extra inconvenience here now that he's running around with the Brony P10, but not for long, as Zane is the one to shut him down and reading, although not without losing majority of his HP, so future gunfights could be pretty much lethal here for Zane. But for now, at least, numbers difference is still in favor of QUT, so possible chance for yet another very quick take, as they only, funnily enough, only now starting to actually open up the floor in very similar kind of pattern here. So if they do go for prediction C4s, that could have been huge, but instead it's actually Woodsy trying to go and try to maybe get a flank around with 35 seconds remaining.
And it's really not as much time as they had to play with last time. Before, they still had about 50 seconds left on the clock while they're opening up these roofs, which allowed them to get a lot more pressure onto the objective. So now, with the last 20 seconds, they're going to be going in a little bit more blind, going for a bit more of a run and gun. Woodsy's going a bit more for an aggressive position, as he's going to try and hold on to Red Major, taking down BP, but it's swapped back. Woodsy and Sogs picking up pieces everywhere. It's down to Zane and Chiefy, who's also taken down diffusers downstairs. It's not going to happen, unfortunately, with, as I said, not enough time and a bit of a turning into a run and gun.
Yeah, well, they managed to actually make that run and gun kind of play work. at least for uQuWu. And they were able to pick themselves up that match point, which is definitely going to bring a little bit more morale back into their camp. Finally, it seems like their plan of execution, how they were planning from the get-go, seems to have finally worked out. Now that they've managed to finally get those trades running, because we knew for a fact that players like, say, even Weber, I think, who was the one who died to Major's swing into the coat hanger room, would have at the end gotten retraded because Woodsy already had that position to really play around. And once they finally started nailing those trades, this is where they were able to win out and stall out that very heavy momentum-based push that QUT had to reside to at the end of the round. So if they were able to do the same thing here on bar, which they nearly, by the way, were able to accomplish, although still very sloppy execution nonetheless, they could really do it, and they could finally maybe close it out. That is the meme team, really, with, say, possibly a 7-3, maybe 7-4 scoreline.
Yeah, if this round goes the same way that last time they played Bar went, you'll be seeing a 7-4 and then potentially picking up a win when they rotate down to the middle floor, which would be the safer option to do, seeing as this strategy didn't work too well for them last time. However, as long as they're taking on board the information of how they lost last time and then accommodating for it, really actually utilizing those mirror windows and having that roam potential going on, it could help a lot. As we did see in the last one, as we were saying with Sogs, I'm pretty sure it was Sogs, that just extra roam presence really stalled out QUT's timer, and by the time they were able to get the roof open to try and get any extra picks or to get any information where people may be for those run and guns players getting into the objective, it was too late. They were already pretty much out of time, and he was still stuck on the second floor when the timer ran out.
Exactly, yeah. And that absolute lockout was the perfect thing that really uQuWu should need to strive for. I'm still very much questioning that decision making behind the play on the stage, but what is even more interesting is that complete, I suppose, 180-degree angle that Sogs is able to utilize to just keep an eye out both on the piano as well as the push into the bar.
It's going to be a lot of pressure on him on whether or not he's able to hold so many rooms at the same time, as it's going to be a lot going on. And I don't think... Oh, they have a WMI, but I was about to say there's no Jaeger preventing anything else. But a lot of these mirror window tactics could go down depending on not if they have the Hibana pellets available, as nobody is going to be in a position to really cancel it out.
Exactly, yeah, look, there's still a fair bit of utility that QUT needs to clear out. With still a minute remaining, that could go for a fair few really good swings. I mean, they already have the opening into the minibar. There's also the jump in by Major onto the stage. Right now, all the pressure is about to come around straight onto Sogs' position. Right now, those my magnets are going to be the ones to actually delay the push. The play from a C4 there, but no, unfortunately, that is gone. Won't be as successful, as useful, and there's actually even some roam clear presence on the second floor.
Yeah, the extra roam presence may be where it's at. 40 seconds left on the clock, and they still have to take control of potentially White Hallway so that they can get in, but these mirror windows are really causing them a lot of problems. They can't quite get it open. Sogs with the C4 onto Major, that's really going to impact them, and those Hibana pallets just aren't doing the trick onto it, and it's really not going to be happening through that door. 15 seconds left on the clock. Webra taking out Angmo yet again, still not able to make anything happen. Really awkward plays coming out from Llama, as he was just absolutely gunned down, and it just falls apart completely for QUT in those last couple seconds.
Indeed, absolute complete devastation there from uQuWu meme team as they finally managed to close it out. The moment they kind of managed to nail down finally their defenses, once they nail down the pace and the way how they should be really playing, it just worked out pitch perfectly there. And the position by Sogs was absolutely powerful, and well, there we are. 7-3 is going to be the final scoreline for the first map. well played. GG, well played. That's the first map out of the way, relatively quickly executed by both teams. We still have potentially two maps, at the very least one map that is going to be Clubhouse, and the Clubhouse is that pick that I do believe QUT were the ones who actually picked. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Red.
No, that's right.
Yeah, and last time we've seen uQuWu play on Clubhouse against Monash Platinum on the first actually day of the playoffs, it was a 7-1 against them.
Not looking pretty in that retrospect. Not only that, but in our head-to-head, Angmo is just absolutely underperforming in comparison to Sogs. Sogs nearly every single round has managed to at least pick up one kill. On many of the rounds, he's picked up multiple. And he's just absolutely outperforming like Angmo in that retrospect, like by a really large margin. I think Angmo only was able to pick up two kills over, what did we have? 11 rounds? 10 rounds.
Yeah, it's definitely been a bit of a rough run for Angmo, to say the very least. But yeah, look, I gotta say though, big props to players like PB back at the uQuWu meet, because I gotta say, his last performance during the Monash Platinum definitely looked very shaky, to say at the very least. The man was struggling for some of the frags. To see him finally bring that extra oomph, I suppose, to the team, done a pretty solid job. I mean, on attack, we've seen so many times he was already there. He was in the face of QUT, and they weren't really able to respond in any shape or form back. So maybe the fact that he's able to kind of recuperate himself and get back on the board with the rest of the boys, maybe that could be kind of the solution for them here for map number 2.
Any extra pressure that they can bring to the board is beneficial as they go into enemy turf, as Clubhouse is going to be QUT's map of choice. I think we are going to a break though.
Yeah, so we are going to go on a quick break, just get ourselves some time to get things underway, and yeah, we are going to be right back, so stay tuned and we'll see you in a little bit. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for the map number 2. It is QUT versus uQuWu meme team. Cthulhu and Red still on the microphone. Red, we've seen a relatively one-sided map number 1. That was the cafe that did end up in the 7-3 scoreline. We just about to step our foot into Clubhouse with all the kind of knowledge so far we've got. What do you reckon are the odds of QUT kind of bringing it on their turf?
I think, especially in comparison to the last match where they did seem a little bit lost on a map that wasn't their pick, obviously. They were still able to pick up 2 rounds or 3 rounds, but outside of that, it was a bit shaky ground. So coming into their own home turf where you expect them to be really putting down and they've actually put in the scrim time for it, there's a better chance, significantly better chance that they're going to be taking away. Not only that, meme teams just haven't been performing very well on Clubhouse.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, their previous performance definitely seen good. Well, seen a much better days. 7-1 was against Platinum. Now going into this Clubhouse, I'm expecting much more serious operator bans, as we already have the Jackal and Thatcher, and nothing too unusual. I mean, both teams would prefer to keep the roam game relatively open. Same goes for Mira. Last time we've seen the final ban, though, come around from uQuWu meme team. That was a Jaeger ban. Now, if the Jaeger ban is here, I'm tempted to say it's going to be a troll one, but here we are.
Regardless, it could be. It puts a lot of pressure on, especially when you're playing like Ash. Controlling Garage becomes a massive pain unless you got a Wami.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I always say Wami when we're playing regular. My reading not so good. But yeah, it pretty much forces you to bring that to the board as soon as the grenades start flying up in those rafters, you're going to be starting losing pressure. And as soon as you lose Garage, you pretty much just lose the rest of the site.
Yeah. Now, here's actually a really cool thing. uQuWu actually learned their mistakes, because last time, when I will be referencing a whole lot back to their match against Monash, just because it was that much of a stark difference between their playstyles. The moment they allowed the Kaid pick come through, funnily enough, Booney, who was part of the Monash Platinum, he was able to rip it to absolute heck up with the Kaid Org SMG, and he was actually one of the top fragging players back on that map. So with the fact that now Kaid is out of the equation, this definitely means that for when the attacking side does come around for uQuWu, they should be able to absolutely still have a very solid chance of getting the breach done very early into the round and very consistently, because now the only breach denial there is just Bandit and the Mute.
Yeah, the Kaid definitely puts a lot more pressure, especially on Cash, which majority of the time is going to be your cookie cutter. This is what we're winning sort of site. Only because it's very difficult to actually win the side unless you actually get the wall open or you get control of Garage. So Kaid makes it very difficult in the retrospect that where you're able to put the claws, you can't get grenades in there, you can't from the outside, unless you're coming from the balcony, it's too difficult to clear them. And Thatcher's banned every round. We've seen that with the 91% ban rate. So it just puts too much pressure onto that one area. But luckily enough, we do see a Cuddy Boy coming out on Llama, as maybe this is how they're going to get in.
Yeah, there we go. Already the first line has been drawn, although I believe Llama needs to still get rid of that middle part of the reinforcements. But apart from that, really, yeah, that is still a very well-paced, well-set-up position. Llama is just, being very cautious about maybe a possible C4, maybe a possible just peek from the ground floor. But so far, it's looking pretty good. So far, definitely looking very promising. And that gas grenade was not the play.
Yeah, it can be extremely risky. Using the Maverick to cut the bottom section open, only because you can just get your face shot off if somebody's peeking from the other end. You're standing there with, pretty much the cutter. So you got to be really, really defensive while doing it. It's good to see that he's doing it in that way, but it's going to take a lot more time for them to get through that wall. And unfortunately, yet again, Angmo, first one to go down. Zane taking out PB, which, as you were saying, PB's been doing a lot better, but he's going to be first to be taken down in this one.
Yeah, although Woodsy was able to find the kill onto Zane, but that's back to a trade. It's been a bit of a trade town here, really. Llama to go down right now, and Sog still has that very prevalent position from down below, could really deny quite a few plays, as well as that very reinforced position. What QUT were able to achieve and all the momentum that they were able to gain, all of that has been ever since lost. So now they need to regain it. They still have 42 seconds to go. They still have plenty of guns really to roll with, no utility whatsoever. So right now, it's all down to how will uQuWu or how aggressive do they want to play.
And unfortunately, yeah, they just came down to the gun plays. The smokes weren't quite wide enough to cover the angles that they were after. And they just got picked off as they were slowly creeping into the room.
Yeah, just like that. It was a really well-paced play by the meme team, really. And even with the fact that trades did come around, the very first frag did go down onto Angmo, who just got flat out ran out on by Sogs and just completely went unpunished. And that is probably the one thing that would probably be a huge tilting point here for QUT. If they won't be able to lock down certain flank points, certain peak points, and they would get peaked from those points and they would die, that is going to be a huge issue, especially for the morale. And we all know, like said by one very great fragger of well, as an ex-Fnatic player as well, it's 90. Wait, hang on, let me check. It's set as my desktop picture. It's 95% mental.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. The mental game of Angmo right now, I am going to be assuming is very low after dying 95% of the rounds that he's played in without picking up a kill. But hopefully he's able to turn it around. This is actually a complete the same sort of problem we saw come out from the meme team though on their own map, where they came into their own map going, it's all right, this is our map, and kind of just played it too open-handedly. They left a couple extra things open. For example, the garage run out. Majority of the time, you're going to be having a guy like either standing there or contesting the garage door to get rid of the guy in rafters. But they went, no, it'll be fine. They won't do that. And they moved those resources over onto the balcony to try and get more pressure into construction. Now, I think that's a little bit too much overconfidence and spreading your team a little bit too thin. Hopefully they do the same thing that the meme team did and pulled it back just a smidgen to play a bit more smartly. Let's put it that way. It's not even a word.
Look, I mean, it's understandable the way that they were expecting that there won't be any kind of ranked plays, really, because uQuWu, up until pretty much that very round, the first round of Clubhouse, they were very, kind of very well paced. They didn't really go for anything unusual. And all of a sudden, Clubhouse just monkey mode and went in for runouts, for spawn peaks, and just kind of swung that initial momentum very heavily in their favor, which QUT obviously didn't really expect. So it's for some sense, it's understandable why they didn't really cover, but at the same time, it's something that they need to really still keep at the back of their head, really, that they need to cut off.
Monkey.
Monkey.
Monkey. Well, 1 minute 30 has already been utilized, and neither teams have really run into each other, as it is a basement hold. And they've taken a lot of control of the ground floor. I think nearly everyone, or it is everyone, from the meme team is currently in the basement, waiting it out, waiting for the push, which, you know, that is how you really want to be doing it. Hunkering down, basement sites are good for that. But whether or not QUT can utilize it and actually get some picks, they've picked up the floors, but they can't find anyone.
Yeah, really, that's actually the same issue that they've been running back at the cafe as well. Once they were trying to take control of the ground floor kitchen side, where they would open up a bunch of floor positions, but none of them were really able to find any kind of frags. And only when they started just directly challenging some of those gunfights, they were able to win them, at least for the most of it. Here right now, they're running into the same issue, and even more so here because there's way more now ground for the defense to just play around in a very safe position and not get contested from the top floor.
Yeah, not utilizing your drones in
Oh
this
boy.
aspect. Ooh,
Oh boy.
Llama's slowly getting the sneaky beaky. slowly up onto PB, and he's gonna pick it up. A couple of bullets in the booty is gonna allow him to push straight onto the objective. He's gonna pick up the first kill, though. Or the first and second kill. Angmo taking out Sogs as well, and it's an absolute flurry after they pick it up and able to drop out of the kitchen. They're pretty much just able to freely run in and take control of the rest of the situation.
This actually feels very similarly to what first two rounds of the defense on Cafe looked for uQuWu, where they done a very phenomenal job really at just holding back the attack. And right at the final few seconds, they just gotten too relaxed, really. They didn't expect that complete rush in. And by this time, I would be thinking that, well, surely now the meme team should be well aware of the approach that QUT does, and they will be trying to kind of force the entry onto the side, which they should really be ready for. And this is where it seems that QUT is able to really muster up that needed momentum, that courage, and just kind of flat out just send it, just say, well, strats didn't work. Heck it, just go full on Call of Duty mode and just frag out.
Yeah, Oh, dearie me. Big Dog taking
Aye, aye,
down
aye, aye.
PB. That's NS has come out in the chat. That was a bit unfortunate as he was trying to open up a hole in the wall. They're going to put him at a bit of a disadvantage, and PB was holding the garage, not the garage, the tunnel, the secret lair tunnel before, which was applying a lot of pressure and keeping Arsenal in control of the main team as they had a lot of their players down in blue. But I didn't really like how QUT ended up winning off the back of just sheer luck on the fact of that PB didn't turn around and wasn't paying as much attention to that aspect as much as they could have just used their drones to find out where people were standing rather than just opening up all the floor and just hoping someone would be there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, it's definitely it's one of those very dangerous aspects for teams to really rely upon that kind of, I suppose, borderline coin toss with whether somebody's not going to be peaking or not. But for now, though, it seems like that coin toss ain't really working just yet because, well, that's one of the hard breaches. That's the thermite out of the equation, and Sogs is able to compensate for the initial issue of intrinsic kind of man disadvantage.
Not only that, basement is one of those objectives where you definitely need as many hard breaches as you can get. Like there's too many hatches, there's too many walls already. So being down on your thermite, especially on the thermite, you could do it probably without. You could either take the church back wall or you could take the kitchen hatch and the tunnel. But there's just not quite like I know you can rearrange the pellets now, so it's a little bit more optimal, but it's still just not quite there with just the Habana.
Yeah, it's still definitely quite a struggle, and obviously, yeah, I mean, it's still relatively workable, like you said, but I suppose, yeah, well, we'll have to see how much of an actual impact there is, because you look at Weber's position, he's already very actively looking out for the dirt tunnel. Sogs is still in a room in Strip Club and could actually throw in a spanner, and it works further for QUT the further we go into the round. And right now, QUT are absolutely clueless about actually the presence of Valkyrie. They don't have any drones, they don't have any information, they don't even have any utility placed to even remotely watch over that flank, and this is going to be an issue in the future.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. This is going to be their downfall, even though that Webra was able to pick up Llama. They're still playing in this very like open-handed playstyle of just running around, and Sogs is just getting to freely walk through the bar area not contested. Somebody's going to come running, like flying back through here to contest, like the biker hatch. And unfortunately, this is their own fault. At the end of the day, they're playing two balls to the wall, too quick, too fast. Just going, well, they didn't play any roamers last time. They won't play any this time.
Oh boy, yeah, actually, well, they are gonna go in for the full send, actually, full plant attempt, but look, it's just like that. uQuWu is able to just collapse back onto the remaining attackers. That play, look, yeah, it definitely looks like QUT are expecting for players like Sogs and not to have the audacity of just going for those very ballsy, very unpredictable plays. And I mean, if he was back onto the site, it was definitely would have been a completely different outcome, or at least for a few brief more seconds. The way, though, how uQuWu so far seems to have played out their pace definitely seen quite a change and quite a fair few amends were made ever since the Platinum game. So certainly the meme team has been improving, but once again, the way how, like, similarly to how QUT relies on that very heavily momentum-based push at the end of the round, uQuWu has so far been relying very heavily on their players to play a very kind of unpredictable, very kind of borderline disrespectful kind of play style where they just go in for those runouts, those very cheeky holds, say in strip club, those spawn peaks maybe sometimes, and in majority of those outcomes it works out pretty well. But the moment you get rid of that roam, well, what is remaining? Just a few anchor players, and well, QUT already know how to clear that.
Yeah, it was hard to say, especially on that last round. Once they lost the thermite, they weren't really sure how to continue the play. As I said before, there was only the luck of the draw that they were able to take down, obviously, the dirt tunnel and get in there and get that cheeky extra pressure for them to drop down through the kitchen hatch. But they just tried the exact same strat a second time, but didn't actually have anyone through the tunnel to pick it up. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. As much as I want this team to win their game, it's you're taking too many risks in comparison to what you can guarantee is something is specific or something like that is going to happen.
Yeah, true. That is definitely one way to really put it. But yeah, look, gotta say, I mean, QT are trying to make amends kind of on the go, but it seems like the uQuWu team is a little bit more proficient in being kind of able to adapt on the go. Obviously, seeing as the meme team also has players like Sogs, players like PBP, players like Big Dog on, even Webrar, those players have seen quite a fair bit of action. They were able to find a few very solid frags, very solid few pickups here and there, and their teams were very well known for very flexible plays. So wouldn't put it past that. It's just mainly just even the experience comes around as we just see just Sogs running around like a streaker, trying to just find some sort of a momentum. But oh, Zane, once again, very same push that was back in round number one, or rather, pardon me, yeah, round number one, where the push kind of just so far just worked out on construction, but from there on they couldn't really find any kind of momentum already.
Yeah, they have assigned the extra player. Ooh, that's not the play you want to be doing. We're just complimenting Zane as he was able to pick up the kill onto PB. But then that was a very bold decision, running straight past the hole you just opened. Therefore, eyes are going to be on that hole and trying to jump out the window. I don't know what to tell you, Chief. This just ain't it.
Yeah, definitely wasn't it, really. Didn't really work out the way that they probably would have wanted. Llama is about to jump in and potentially run into the sights of Sogs, who already has his sights trained onto that very position. And right now, oh, Woodsy, yeah, that's a double. That's a possible, even a triple if he decides to go in for a swing. But so far, this site is locked down, 28 seconds, and unless some form of a miracle or a throw happens, I don't see QUT winning this.
Well, in comparison to the last round, well, Woodsy, as you said, on the triple, takes that major. And it all comes onto the back of Angwo, who has not really been
Oh
performing,
no.
though he has managed to live the full amount of time on this round, which is good. And he's able to take out our player, or take out two. I stat.
Gotta add that at least
He's
somehow.
stat padding. Stat padding's always good.
Yeah,
But
look, I mean,
no,
yeah,
you
go
go.
ahead.
You're right.
No, no, I'll probably follow
Okay.
you.
Yeah, it was interesting in the retrospect. That was just like they lost from the exact same reasons as they did last time, but it was
Hmm.
on the other side of the map.
Yeah, this it definitely looks like kind of that one round that they did lose to QUT was definitely due to them kind of still testing their waters on this very map. And now that they kind of figured out that they are allowed to have the audacity to like go for those pings, I mean, Sogs kept on even more aggressively peeking out and running out to try to get Angmo at the end, although more so just for the meme value, I would imagine. It shows that their aggression, their confidence in those swings and those peaks is growing by a round, and it's helping them contain, not contain, keep up with the momentum that they so far set. Whereas QUT, they try to enforce their own pace here as the attackers, but it's not really working out. They're playing by their own book, but they never really stratted against this kind of very not unpredictable, but very kind of swing heavy play style that the meme team so far introduced, it seems to me.
And pretty much as you're saying that, it's very odd in the retrospect that they're not disrespecting, but they're not giving full credit to the meme team. I think it's mainly because it is their map that they're not really giving them that respect of even though that QUT may have the strats or know how to do like traverse the map and how to best take care of certain things, they're not respecting each individual player's ability to, as you said, just make those swings happen, just get those headshots, get those flicks, and pretty much just win through your rank style play style of just taking advantage of you shoot better.
Yeah, look, so far that playstyle paid dividends and very, very heavy ones as well. So, with Sogs now still playing at the bottom floor, not a single drone is yet to come around to downstairs, and it doesn't look like even any resources are going to be allocated to that push. So it seems like QUT full on ignoring the run from below will be trying to force their push into the cash room, which looks like a decent idea. But again, with the fact that they should now know that Sogs has that ability, that possibility to go in just for the push and just for the roam around, this it could be an issue. Although that play by Hibana of Major, this is good because Weber right now is stuck in a very borderline impossible position to really survive in.
As long as he's able to stall it out as long as possible, this cool. Never mind, I bite my tongue as soon as I said it. Angmo taking out Weber, but he's quickly traded out, and unfortunately, he's not going to be able to pull himself back up as that is no longer a feature of this game. Zane also getting taken out as we do see Salts coming up on the flank because they just weren't watching for the roam yet again. We're seeing this time after time again. Yes, Major is able to pick it up back off him, but what's the trade-off at the end of the day?
Well, the trade-off is so far is the lack of HP, and right now both Angmo and Major are actually going to be very low on HP. PB has the very solid, very one-sided angle right now. Goes in for the pre-fire, just misses out on those shots. Will be very promptly falling back. Woodsy is the last one on the side as well, and possibly will need to contest on his own. Gets taken down very low, and right now looking like QUT might actually be the one to claim this as Ani is about to, well, bleed out. So many players right now, actually, from QUT are so low on HP, a single spray down will be pretty much the end of them, and that's one for Woodsy. Can PB find that frag, though? Now, that is going to be the main crucial question here. Uh-oh. That's an
Frag
issue.
grenades coming out as we're talking about frags. Oh, and not the right direction as Llama comes in, looking the wrong way. PB able to pick up the first one. Angmo takes out Woodsy. Is now a 2 versus 1, and they technically should know from the call out roughly where he is, or the direction he is. Sheafy getting the diffuser on the floor, which is going to give them a little bit extra time on the clock, but it doesn't matter as Angmo is watching the correct direction.
Yeah, there we go. Finally, that curse, I suppose, what that has been plaguing QUT in Cafe has finally came to the end. Finally, Angmo was able to keep an eye out on the good, proper direction, and well, finally, it seems like maybe this is going to be a much closer map to be contesting, seeing as already even the scoreline may be looking to send us into a draw between the two teams, which for QUT, this is going to be perfect, really, because they want to make sure that they are contesting. This is, as a matter of fact, their final map here in the semifinals to try to get themselves back on board for the map points.
Not only that, I feel like the meme team has got the situation right now where they can play a little bit more aggressive than they already have been. Only because they've already guaranteed their match point. They got their map. So they can push it to the third map. Not that obviously you'd want to, but they can take that risk. Because they have the extra chance. Where in retrospect, QUT, this is it. That's all they've got left.
Yeah, this is definitely a much more dire situation for them. I'll definitely agree with you on that.
So as you said, the mental game and the mental gymnastics the two teams must be going through, it's completely different. You'd have the main team, who are probably in high spirits after winning that last game, doing extremely well, even though they lost like a couple defenses back to back. They still came off that, taking away the map and winning a large amount of rounds back to back. Whereas in comparison to QUT, losing what was it, five rounds back to back, and then losing the map, even though you won like 2 rounds in that midsection, and then the last round was a bit of a cluster buster. It's you can't really be in a good mindset, and then coming into your own home turf and kind of being thrown around, like not treated respectably. It's really got to be playing on the minds of the guys on the QUT.
Yeah, that's actually a very good way to really put it. Yeah, QUT kind of tried to maybe recuperate themselves after that very unfortunate loss on map number 1. And even now looking to be running into a whole lot of just problems with the fact that, well, you have very kind of barely predictable Sogs who's just been running around the whole map and kind of taking QUT on a trip around the whole clubhouse. And the rest of the team is kind of following suit occasionally with going some very odd positionings sometimes, and sometimes just very good gunfight potential. And look, even now, Sogs is just ready to contest even the outside, but whereas QUT are spending quite a substantial amount of time just trying to clear out the top floor and making sure that no frags or no flank will come around from that very direction.
Well, on the plus side, QUT still has both of their exothermic charges are available. No thermite going down this time early into the game. They're playing a little bit more close to the chest. They're not really allowing for that potential roam that they're worried about last time, though they haven't sent any drones in to the strip club, which is where Sox played literally last time. I don't think they knew that he was playing there last time. They only caught a glimpse of him coming back into the kitchen. And so this, even though they're playing a bit safer, this could go technically either way with him getting a couple nice swings through the bathroom. Not quite the timing, though.
Yeah, look, I think that was actually for the better the timing, because he decided for the better to go in for the peak from the long angle, and oh, there it is. There's that swing. Able to actually down Zen, will be taking his sweet time to get the reload and going for another swing. Nearly gets the kill into Major, but leaves him only on 1 HP. So for now, it does leave some time, and even more time will be wasted. I mean, 25 seconds remaining. Red, 3v3. This is definitely still looking very dire for QUT.
And if they're not able to get down this hatch, or at least take the pressure off where PB2 is holding, it's not going to go in their favor. These smoke grenades aren't going to stop him from shooting.
Oh boy.
As he falls down, it's all up to Major, only on a couple hit points, but he's going the exact same direction. 2 seconds on the clock. It's just not going to happen for QUT. Just putting all their eggs in one basket of getting the diffuser down the kitchen hatch, but not quite putting enough pressure into clearing out Arsenal.
Yeah, look, definitely bit rough there for QUT. Seem to have struggled for time, and the time management is definitely looking very, very unfortunate for them. But look, they're gonna go to the defense here for the second half, try to get themselves on board. I mean, we've seen how heavy can the defense be, or rather, how points heavy can the defense be on Clubhouse. So possibly this is where they make that comeback. I mean, 4-2 scoreline is definitely much easier to make a return from. So this is their chance here because right now, Meme Team 3 rounds away from the victory in semifinals.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate to see that even on their own map, that QT is just unfortunately not cutting it. And you hate to see it, but these things do happen at the end of the day. Sometimes it can just come down to, as we've been talking about for probably this whole match and like a little bit into the end part of the last one, it's just team mentality. It's
Yeah.
if you lose too much pressure on that first map, you can completely throw yourself out for your own map. And I don't think they're playing to the complete optimum amount that they could be. I think they could be playing a lot better in normal circumstances, but today's just not their day, unfortunately. And more than likely, even though we're swapping over at the halftime now, this may easily be the meme team's map as well.
Yeah, it definitely looked like the prep was put into this whole map, and definitely comparative to what we've seen previously, they've definitely improved substantially. Although now that we are going to go on to the offense, that question is still going to stand because they still had a very rough time on attack last time against Platinum, but seeing as attack on Cafe was very confident from them and they were able to ramp up that momentum very quickly. Some worries have been obviously taken away, but look at the sheer amount of information that they are gaining just from those drones. The positioning is impeccable so far.
And that's another thing that meme team is really putting extra like emphasis on, that QUT just isn't cutting it. Their little to no drone play coming out from QUT meant that they didn't know where people were and they were relying on those swings or potentially breaking the floors apart and just finding somebody, in comparison to knowing exactly where the person is and then taking an educated guess.
Indeed, well, let's see how this round will really unravel because I think this is going to be the one really to start making the really big changes in the morale here because the moment they achieve the 5th round for themselves, that is the meme team, this is where kind of they get the, I suppose, the confidence points for themselves where they just only 1 round away from match point, and it is going to be putting QT on quite a bit of a strain in their morale. PB already, I mean, dealing quite some damage to all the utility for now. Major, or rather Zane, will be holding an angle from the rafters and still yet to really forfeit that spot, really.
Just as you say that, PB takes out Zane. That's going to be giving up the garage, and the main wall is, in theory, down. It's going to be hard to get through that outside of that far left angle. Llama trading back onto PB, which leaves it down to a 4v4. But as you were saying, this is definitely the round that's going to make or break it, as there is a couple of rounds in every game or every best of 3 that determine the momentum of the game, and the halftime is one of them. If you've been losing this whole time and then you lose the swap over as well, it's going to be putting a lot of mental strain on the rest of your team. Not only knowing that not only are we losing on this side of attack or this side of defense, but you're not winning on the other end either.
Exactly. Now, this position actually could work out really well. Obviously, the C4 is there to damage Weber, but right now that crossfire, absolutely devastating. I mean, in a matter of 3 seconds, the whole lineup of QUT fell apart. They tried to go for a retake. They had very ballsy positions, but the fact just how effectively that setup by uQuWu meme team has been, where they had the one person watching from the CCTV window, one at the rafters, one at the breach, one planting, and you still had the one having the ability to have a peek into the construction window. pretty much covered all of the bases, and they were able to win out their gunfights because obviously they already had their sights trained at those positions. Whereas for QUT, they had to swing. There was always that margin for error. There always the time to react, and it's just all kind of unfortunately fell apart for QUT. So now with a 5-2 scoreline, this is yeah, look, gonna be looking growing more and more dire here for QUT as they're just struggling for just any kind of play for themselves, really.
As you're saying that, winning out on that last part for the meme team, that's it's a very cookie cutter way of taking the cache site as well, which is the downside to picking a map that even though you could scrim for, even though that you could be like, we know exactly how everything works. I mean, Clubhouse is just one of those maps. All the strats already know. You can't bring in new information really onto these sorts of maps. So having it as your home turf at the end of the day probably isn't the the best play, as a lot of the time most people know how, like, you can do a standard or a default push onto every site, and yeah, you're not going to be really bringing out anything super spicy that's going to mix up the gameplay.
Yeah, look, I mean, probably the main spice is just being very unpredictable. Clubhouse, yeah, like you said, it's very much now very well known about how do you want to push. Most of the positions are very well known. It's just if you can mix up your plays very well, that's where you come out successful. And I suppose so. It's kind of in a similar position where I would say Coastline is in, where it's so overstratted to the point it's most of it turned into Fragfest. And right now, well, even in fragging department, meme team has been much more successful.
And we're seeing a bit of a Maverick trick coming out, as he's going to be taking out the entire wall section, which is you don't see it too often, but I am a big fan of the reverse repel to take out the bottom section. You risk very little outside of potentially if they have like a bandit rule. Jesus, this is very keen, but you don't risk your feet at the end of the day when you're cutting it, and then that way you can also come up and then cut the top section, and you have a significantly less likely chance to get in your face or your feet taken off while you're doing it.
That, and well, the other reason being kind of the fact that it was only a mute jammer there rather than a battery, so it wouldn't be really damaging the Maverick player who was going in for the breach. But whilst we were actually dissecting that whole play, Anglo just went in and just got the frag, really pulled the sogs, went for a run out, but this time we'll just get tapped to the head. Ani just being the friendly neighborhood Hibana just, gives a little bit of a nudge to the forehead.
And unfortunately, he's really not been having a good time tonight. As we've been saying, Sogs is really contributing a lot to his team on the other end of the spectrum. He's able to take out Zane, followed by Major, just getting taken out by Webra. It just seems very one-sided regardless of the map so far, and it's very unfortunate in that retrospect. But we are going to a 2 versus 4. Llama and Sheafy, they seem to be in the same situation time and time again, being the last 2 players left on the team to really hold down and hold the fort with 30 seconds remaining. But the same cookie cutter plant potentially might go down as the smokes come out. And the smoke babes come through. C4 at this time able to get down Big Dogs, then unsure whether he's down or not. So Llama has to come out and peek, but it's all going to come down to PB. As I say that, Sogs does not care, comes around, is able to whip out a double kill, taking out those last 2 players.
Perfect flank around, really. Sogs once again showing his ability to just flat out be where his team is not really, and getting those flanks that are crucial for the play has been absolutely phenomenal. 6-2 scoreline, and even worse scoreline, as a matter of fact, for QT than Cafe so far, and it is definitely very, very concerning for them. This is essentially the last chance they need to just to keep themselves in this competition. They need 4 rounds in a row with no mistakes, no issues, no lack of frags, and so far it is looking borderline impossible.
saying that, we are going into the basement. Church Arsenal Room may be the saving grace that they potentially need. Potentially, even though the thermite wasn't brought, Cuddy Boy, yet again brought to the table, this could still be a make or break situation, as you said. But I feel like this is going to be the last round. This is going to be it. And they're just not playing, not respecting their enemy team enough.
Yeah, I think this is very hugely based on just the respect between the two teams. So far, neither of them actually wanted. Well, QUT showed plenty of respect, really, not expecting some of those runouts and just kind of playing a little bit more conventional, I suppose, Siege. Whereas from uQuWu meme team, look, there was barely any respect really going into either cafe or clubhouse, and it showed, especially on defense, where players like Sogs, players I believe like Woodsy and Arnie as well, winning and going for some of the peek outs, some of the spawn peaks, some of the run outs, is just all kind of stacked together, and just they really couldn't find a whole lot. Arnie once again kicking things off onto Angmo. Poor man just unfortunately can't bring much to the team. Once again, kind of getting the vibes from the cafe.
Not only that, we have seen from uQuWu meme team that the team is just really well rounded. As you said, Sogs, Woodsy, PB, they're all making their way around the map and getting picks. Now, Big Dog and Webra may not be getting the picks all the time or being as contributive, but when it comes down to it, when they're the last support players left on the line, they're able to pick up catch the ball at the end of the day and try as best they can to win out the round. Even if they don't, they're still getting or still making a really good contribution in comparison to when we look at like QUT in the retrospect, where it seems very, very dicey at the moment. As I say that, Zane coming out yet again, he's doing a lot of work for QUT as he's able to pick up the C4 kill onto PB. That's going to be his sledge gone and definitely help out a lot because no more floor being broken.
Well, it's only down to essentially Sogs' last two remaining breaching charges, which I doubt that he would want to really get rid of just yet. With 58 seconds remaining, there's still a few possibilities. Sogs is actually already on the opposite side, just getting rid of all the utility. There is a Goyo that he wants to contest. That's Llama just trying to run away, but unfortunately just horrible timing there and didn't really work out. Another peek, another swing. Sogs, the Ashmain of uQuWu meme team, just goes in for the swing. Actually decides to, you know what, heck it, I don't want to keep on playing peekaboo. Goes in for another one. That's just a complete wipeout. Sogs on a triple, Sogs on a quad. Just like that. GG. Well played.
I don't know what I just watched, but holy moly, Sogs putting the rest of his team behind in shame as he just goes, don't worry guys, I got this, comes around and just pulls apart as he runs through the last remaining defense, as it didn't really look like they had like a good pressure hold, but you know, the best the best attack is just keep running in and killing everybody, unfortunately. And that's all she wrote for QUT, unfortunately, with that loss.
Yeah, that's it for QUT. And look, big oaf for the whole of QUT lineup. I mean, for Shifi, he felt the same pain that Angmo was feeling on Cafe. 1-7 scoreline for himself. Sogs going actually on the double digits and just going absolutely ham on the opposing team. Look, it's I'll say that I'm genuinely amazed how well uQuWu played, but also I can feel the pain of QUT after they got so far and managed to achieve quite a fair few really good things, especially beating the teams like Monash Onyx as well.
Yeah, it seemed like it was going to potentially go to that third map, especially like the potential that they had when they played the first map. Yeah, they kind of got dumpster fired at the start, don't get me wrong, but they managed to take back a couple rounds, and it really looked like they were going to swing it back around in their momentum. and then it just all fell apart. Unfortunately, their own map didn't hold it out for them, and the team just fell apart. Unfortunately, potentially not playing to their full potential. I keep saying potentially too many times, but that's really all it's coming down to, as we've been saying in the head-to-head. Sogs versus Angmo. Angmo underperformed. Like, he was probably the worst. I don't mean to be mean, but he probably performed the worst on his team for these two games, unfortunately. In comparison to Sogs, Sogs was the playmaker every single time, especially in that last round. So,
Oh yeah.
what are you gonna do at the end of the day?
Look, not much can be done really against that kind of sheer amount of force, and it's definitely been a bit of a rough for QUT. Maybe in the future games and the future semester, they will be able to make a comeback, and we'll be able to finally bring that revenge story back against uQuWu. But for the time being, yeah, look, that's a very unfortunate outcome for them. Although semifinals is still a pretty decent result for them, seeing as they did, well, for them, unfortunately, tonight they did play with a sub at the end of the day.
Yeah, just, you can't be pulling out all the strats when you're technically down one of your core roster, but it is what it is. I think that really wraps it up for tonight, doesn't it?
Indeed, yeah. Look, that is pretty much it from us. Huge thank you to all of you, our wonderful viewers, for tuning in. Huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors as well. That is Chartime, AOC, Indomie, and Rig as well. Huge thank you to you as well, Red, for joining me tonight for absolute bangers, really, of matchup. But yeah, shame we didn't get to see the third map, but congrats to uQuWu. Very solid, very dominant performance, and huge thanks to our wonderful producer and observer, that is Nuttery. Much love to you, my man. And yeah, from that, with that said, that is all from us. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Take it easy.